Hello and welcome to Conversations with Kit and Alex. I'm Alex Niel, certified high performance and mindset coach, and I help women executives who feel unfulfilled despite being successful really narrow down to what's important to them so that they can leave a meaningful and enduring legacy.
Love it. And I'm Kit Cassingham. I'm a longevity coach. I work with people to create a smoother transition into elderhood. I transform the fear of aging. And my mission is to inspire people to take better care of themselves so the extra years they live will be healthy and purposeful.
Nice. Love it. So today we're going to talk about things that adversely impact our health that we might not be thinking about on a day-to-day basis. Originally, we were going to talk about how sitting is the new smoking. And then we started talking about all these other things that were like, well, this also adversely impacts your health. That adversely impacts your health. So I think, we agreed to take it to kind of a higher level and not just focus on movement, which is absolutely critical, but really think about what are the different aspects of our lives that are important in terms of our overall health.
So what else is the new smoking, Alex?
So we're going to talk about a couple of different topics. I don't know if we'll get through them all, but definitely we're going to talk about movement. We're going to talk about loneliness, because human connection is something that we all want and strive for and need in order to live a successful and happy life. We're going to talk about stress and how stress impacts our life. We're going to talk about ageism, what happens as we come to our later years, and how those later years, if we don't take care of ourselves, eventually can have a negative impact on our health.
And can I jump in there a little bit?
Please.
It's also the language that we use around old people.
Yeah.
And it's because the language sets attitudes, and that can be very detrimental.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
You.
Yeah. And we're also going to talk about fragrances and the impact that fragrance has on our environment, and potentially how it impacts people who may have sensitivities to different chemicals or different natural products. So that's where we're going to be going today. So lots of things to talk about. And I guess I can just go ahead, Kit. You look like you were going to say something.
If we have time, I also want to throw in the lack of sleep as an issue.
Yeah.
And some people are so proud of their lack of sleep. It's like, yeah, it's not good for you though.
Yeah.
You're not going to win an award.
And you know what? Let's just stay here because we might as well just talk about it. We've already started. But sleep is, absolutely incredibly important. Because there's so much that our brain and our body does while we're sleeping. That's why REM sleep and deep sleep are so incredibly important, because that's the brain's mechanism for it's like the dishwasher of the brain is how I've heard it referred to, is that it goes through
deep
and
sleep,
cleans up, right?
Deep sleep is the brain washing, as Dr. Daniel Amen refers to it.
Yeah.
And REM is consolidating our memories and things that happened previous day. So both are important for health.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know I've suffered a lot from lack of sleep. I've been wearing a Fitbit since the beginning of the year, and I could never really understand why I was tired and groggy when I woke up in the morning until I started wearing it, and I realized that I have somewhere between 5 and 7 like truly awake episodes every night, and sometimes as little as like 20 minutes of deep sleep. So it's something that I'm working on, something that this TMS therapy is really helping with. the latest since you and I talked on Monday, I have had 2 nights in a row where I had only 3 awake episodes. And last night I only had
Hey,
2.
that's called progress, my dear.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, it's amazing to see that. And I feel it. I feel like I'm coming back to life. I feel like I
Of
can
course.
see things more clearly. Like literally, I feel like my vision is improving. It's amazing.
I love it. So I wear an Aura ring to
Okay.
help me track my statistics. I had some kind of band for a while.
Okay.
Um, it didn't really, it tracked my sleep, but I wasn't sure how accurate it was because I'd wake up thinking, I didn't sleep last night. And it'd say, that was a great night's sleep.
Yeah.
And it'd be the other way around sometimes. So sleep is not generally an issue for me. If Randy wants to talk to me, he has to say something before my head hits the pillow, and that may still be
Yeah.
too late because I'm out.
I'm
But
the
I
same
get
way.
scolded by the ring because it goes, it only took you 2 minutes to fall asleep. I'm going, isn't that good?
Yeah.
It thinks that means I'm too tired. And I go, well, that's why I went to bed. But once in a while, it'll say, I did some research for one of my classes, and I think it said deep sleep should be at least 17% of your sleep. It may have been
Okay.
a little more, but at least 17. And generally mine's 20 or more. Last night I had over 3 hours of both deep and REM.
Dang. You must have
And
just like
part of
jumped out of bed like a squirrel this morning.
I do, well, I always do. I get that from my dad. But what I was going to say about the sleep doesn't matter. But Randy doesn't. So I had read that reishi mushroom is supposed to help improve your sleep quality. So
I've read
we
that
have
recently.
a cup of reishi tea every night. And his sleep is also improving. I was also going to say yesterday I experimented with moving throughout the day more than stacking one under the other. And that may have made a difference. I don't know. I mean, to get 3 hours of each is wild.
Yeah, no kidding. That's
So
crazy.
I invite, and if you're going to try tea, you want tea that's the fruiting body, the mycelium or the roots, and roots are
Okay.
fine, except the substrate that the mushroom grows in can make a difference. Sometimes they use
Okay.
corn or wheat or rice or something. And if you have sensitivities to those foods, that will
Gotcha.
negate the value of the mushroom.
Okay.
So go for a fruiting body. And I'm using Anthony's whatever for his the reishi.
Okay. Okay. No, but it's good to know because it's, you don't know until you start doing the research, you don't know what those nuances necessarily are,
Yeah.
right? You think, oh, I'm having, mushroom tea and, everything is hunky dory, but
Go
you're
wrong
actually,
with
yeah. Yeah.
that.
So, but
Yeah.
sleep is for me fundamental because and I've gone without sleep for so long, without good sleep, I sleep. I just don't
Right.
sleep.
You go to bed, close your eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I always said, man, if I can get my sleep right, I can conquer the world, right? Because if you're
And look at you go.
rested, when you think about any night you haven't had a good night's sleep, you wake up the next day and you're like, you could be cranky all day. It messes with your hunger signals.
Yes.
It's all kinds
Your
of different
it
ways that it
messes with your
derails you.
hormones.
Yeah.
Your hormones get out of whack. When I hit menopause, I started getting night sweats. And I accidentally learned that if I drop sugar, alcohol, and spicy food,
Yeah.
I didn't have night sweats. Now, it'll be different for everybody, but I was willing to experiment. And the first I gave up was alcohol, which is how I subsequently discovered the others.
Right.
And my friend said, you're giving up alcohol just for a little bit of hot flashes? I go, oh, honey, this is not hot flashes.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around me the next day. If I mean, it's like somebody turned the bed on high and I'd fly out of bed. And
Yeah.
I'd walk around the house cooling off, come back, the bed would still be hot.
Yeah.
And I had the covers pulled back. So there was something crazy going on.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Okay.
No, I totally hear you. What does it for me is when I eat gluten, anything wheat,
Oh,
like bread or pasta, I am guaranteed night sweats at night. I found supplements that work really well, which has
mhm.
me very excited because I'm no longer, I mean, I still have one of these on my desk because every once in a while, but it's
You
not,
glow.
yeah, that's one way to put it. But it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, good. So there are lots of good ways of taking care of it. And I presume you have a gluten-free diet or mostly gluten-free.
mostly gluten-free. Yeah.
How do oats bother you? Because they're processed often in the same plants. Oh,
No,
all right.
I don't do oats.
That's an American thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I liken it? Because I know so many people love to have oatmeal for breakfast. And it boggles my mind that anybody would want to start their day eating glue. Because that's what it feels like. The consistency, everything to me is like I'm eating glue, and I can't.
I don't know why. Well,
So
so no, that's not an issue for you then.
no,
Okay,
no. Eggs are my go-to in the morning. That fires up my brain.
good. I have loved eggs, and part of my food experiment this year is I have dropped them among other things from my
Okay.
diet. And at the end of the month, I'm going to start experimenting with what happens when I have an egg. Because I used to love having that for my breakfast, but
It'll be
I'll let you know.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear because I went through and I did an elimination diet a few years ago. And one of the things I eliminated was eggs. And I had, for as long as I can remember, had eggs 2, 3 times a week for breakfast. And I stopped. And when I reintroduced them, oh my God, it wreaked havoc on my
Interesting.
digestive system. So
Yeah.
if I eat them consistently, I'm okay. It's like my body adapts, right? If I take them out and I reintroduce them back in, I'm a mess.
Well, so the question is for me, is your body adjusting to it a healthy thing? Or should you be keeping eggs out of your diet? I don't have an answer, but I have lots of questions,
Yeah, no, and honestly, I don't know. There are so many good health benefits from eating eggs,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That
Agreed.
I just hesitate to take them out altogether because it's a quick snack, it's high protein, it keeps you satiated for a long time. And it's not the devil that, past studies have made eggs out to be.
Well,
Um,
maybe. I mean, everybody is different, so
everybody's
who
different.
knows?
Oh, and then for me, I'm okay to eat them because when I do, I feel good. It's when I take them out and I bring them back in. So I decided I'm not taking them out.
Smart.
And that's it.
And so much processed food when you eat out, egg is in a lot of things people make, restaurants make.
Yeah.
It is mayonnaise.
Yeah.
So since I'm going to be in Italy for a month, I'm going to,
Ooh, it's gonna be in
the
your
eggs
all
are
your
something I'll
pastas and
experiment with.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll I don't recall, I'm not aware of responding to grains or wheat
Okay.
specifically, but I've still removed them. I'll test putting them back because
Yeah.
I went through Spain without doing, no, I didn't. I finally, out of desperation for calories, ate bread all the time in Spain. It was free with every breakfast, maybe every
Okay.
meal. I don't know.
Okay.
So, but Italy will be different. So,
Yeah. No, it will be, but and the interesting thing for me with bread is that I get brain fog. So, and pasta, I get brain fog. So it's not, I don't think I'm
it's not that
gluten
you have an
intolerant.
upset stomach.
No, it doesn't affect me that way, but man, it's like my brain like tries to work through sludge when I have
Well,
bread and pasta.
there's no test for this that I know of, but it would be interesting to figure out if you have leaky gut, because that one symptom of that is foggy brain.
Maybe.
And I've proposed that as a possibility for my husband, not because of foggy brain, but because of some other things.
Okay.
And he's not willing to give it up, at least not yet. If his symptoms get worse, he might,
Yeah,
but
I get that. I get that. I don't
so
honestly eat it often enough that, if I eat it once a week, it's like, so
you can deal with a little bit of fog, yeah.
yeah, yeah, so it's fine. It's fine.
So, all right, we've gone from sleep is the new
Food.
smoking to food is the new smoking. Oh my God, what will be left?
So many things.
Um,
Let's talk about movement, because we're in the
that's
health
what I was going to suggest.
environment.
Yeah, yeah.
So why don't you kick us off?
Well, we have a sedentary style in our
Yeah.
society these days. We sit to commute to work, unless your office is a few feet from your house and then you get to walk. But so we're sitting for that. Most of us sit during the day at the office. We sit to eat. And we all know standing to eat isn't good. But so if we go to the theater, we're sitting. Everything we do is sitting. And some people will go to the gym for an hour or two every day. And the trick is, it's not the intensity of a workout that is good for us. It is breaking that up and spreading it through the day.
Yeah.
So when we go to the grocery store, okay, we get to walk through the grocery store or whatever we're shopping for. But how about parking at the far end of the parking lot and walk into the store? Take the stairs instead of the escalator or elevator. And my favorite is to take a period of time, every 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes, and get your blood flowing.
Yeah.
Get your body moving. It keeps your joints and muscles lubricated. It gets oxygen going through to the vital organs and the nutrients, and you think better, you work better, you act better. So there are a few things that I have to say about movement.
Yeah.
What can you add?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I started doing in the summer, and I haven't quite figured out how to do it now that it's wintertime, is I work in time blocks, right? And I give myself 15 minutes of work time and then 10 minutes of breakaway.
Yes.
And what I started doing in the spring of last year, when the weather started getting nicer, was that in those 10 minutes, I would walk outside for
Brilliant.
5 minutes. I mean, I live in an apartment complex. We have a little bit of a courtyard, and I would just do 2 loops around the courtyard, come back in, grab a glass of water, boom, be able to come back to work. Right. So, and on the days that I couldn't do that, I would do squats. I would do, push-ups. I would do what exactly, those types of things, just so that I could get some movement in, because I think that was one of the things that hurt me when I was in corporate, is that I would get in at 7 o'clock in the morning. I would sit at my desk, and sometimes I would move for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours, because I was on conference calls. I was working on presentations, whatever I was doing. And and it's like, sometimes I forget to pee. Literally, I would forget.
My bladder's queen.
Right?
No, I can't. Well, I can.
So
my clothes.
Yeah. So it's, being able to incorporate those movements is really, really critical for all of the reasons that you gave.
Yeah. So, in addition to being outside moving, if you get out first thing in the morning, maybe to greet the morning sun and walk around your courtyard or the whole building or something, that 10 minutes of sunlight will set your body up to be ready to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And so that will help sleep.
Yeah. And the people that we're doing the TMS study with, they're recommending half an hour outside between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. And that's been difficult to do because we've been in the car because we have to drive, 80 miles to get treatment and then come back. But I can totally see how that would be a benefit. And it's easy to do in the summertime, right? When the sun rises early, and it's much, much easier because I'm up at 5 when the weather's nice, I go walking, but it's still nighttime.
Yep, that's right.
So I don't get that circadian rhythm benefit doing it that early in the morning. So, Well,
I like to say you're getting starshine then. That's got to be good for something, Alex.
Moonshine. Although moonshine might be a little bit different, but that's okay.
All right. So do you know that when you're doing exercises that some of them should cross your median line?
What do you mean?
The line that separates right in half. So I can't back up enough right now. Pick up your right leg and move your left arm to the opposite side. And you can do one at a time. Then do your left leg and your right arm and cross.
Interesting.
You could also, that connects the two halves of your brain. And so that it's movement and it's nourishment for the brain in energetic sorts of ways.
Interesting.
So there's a fun little tip.
Well, thank you.
You could try it and let us know
how
it works for you.
Definitely.
I actually right now, my part of my morning routine, and I do it inside. Probably it's pretty cold when I'm doing this. Does Brendan still use Macklemore's "Can't Hold Us" as one of his songs to get us?
Yeah.
That song lights me up.
Agreed.
When I had to have surgery several years ago, I used that to build up my energy and stamina and muscles and stuff. And then I used it as a barometer to know when I was healed. And my big brother had said, "Oh, you're going to suffer for 2 months. It's going to be awful." I said, I had my left ovary and fallopian tube removed. And I guess it's invasive surgery. But when I got out of surgery, I was we had to stay in town for 2 nights. And I sat there at my desk and I'd put the music on and I could tap my toes a little bit. And then I'd go take a nap. And then I come back and more of my foot would move. And within a few hours, I could kind of bounce to the whole 4+ minutes of the song.
All right.
Within less than a week, I was 90% dancing full out to that song. And I'm bouncing with my hands in the air and just moving. I proved my brother wrong. All of that's to say, I could be doing that. That's a movement for me. And I could do that outside in the sunshine and get double bonuses. But but I used to be doing an isometric routine that had me stretching and being flexible. And those are also real important things to do. Get your spine flexible, your joints, your hips, get your posture erect, because
there's a lot there.
It lets you breathe better and it lets you digest better.
So many good, I mean, it's always, the more I read and the more I learn about health, the more amazed I am at what the body is capable of. Right. And
but we have to keep using it to keep it capable of doing so much.
And we have to feed it right. And we have to make sure it's hydrated. And so all of those things also make sure that it's rested well. All of those things have an impact and make a difference.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So moving is good for us. And if we don't, then our bodies will degrade in different ways, but just as badly as if we keep smoking.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the easiest way to stave off things like dementia and Alzheimer's is through movement, by staying active.
Yes.
There is a huge connection between our physical movement and our ability to keep our minds in our elder years.
And one other element for that is our social connection. And I don't mean Facebook or any of those.
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
mean connecting, ideally physically. But, you know, if you and I were to talk every day like this, it would be better than if we didn't do it at all.
Right.
But to join groups, interact with groups, be it going to church or out for coffee, something where you get to really see people. I have 2 senior friends. They are 98 and they both are very social and they eat well. And she's in a wheelchair. She survived polio when she was a girl. And she wheels her chair around and goes out and does things with people in her community.
Yeah. It's funny because I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about the need that we all have for human connection and how we thrive when we're connected with other humans, when we're physically connected with them. And one of the things that they were saying was that, and they were talking about the centenarians, right? All of the people that live 100 years and above. And they were talking about how in Japan, for example, when you're a child, you're assigned to a friends group of another 4 or 5 kids. And that group stays together for their whole entire life. And it's incredible to hear that, because it's like, no matter what happens in your life, your 5 buddies are always going to be there.
Your peeps.
Right? And somebody was saying, well, what if you're stuck with, some kind of a-hole?
Right.
And then you have to deal with them for your whole life. But
you'll learn to love them.
Well, either that, or it's a way also to bring structure and to bring good habits and values and ethics, so that you actually don't develop to be, so
you won't become a yucky person.
Right.
Because,
I don't know.
I want to expand
Alex's opinion of one, but.
Well, I think that in addition to having a cohort that we're close with, I think it's also important to have a wide range of friends, because as our people our age start dying or moving away, whichever, but let's say dying, are you going to be alone, or are you filling in with other age groups? And that's what I think. And that's part of what's behind my idea of a regenerative community, where people of all ages, social income brackets, interests, cultures, etc., live together around, kind of like in your apartment building, with a courtyard in the middle. And in the courtyard garden, we have a playground and a walking path, and we interact. As I'm walking, the little kids can say hi, the older people can say hi.
That happens here all the time. We know our neighbor downstairs. We know our neighbors to the other side of us, upstairs and downstairs. And in the summertime, they bring out their chairs, they bring out their tables. We go out there with a glass of wine. We go out there with whatever, and we just spend time connecting. But that human connection isn't just with people whom we know, but it's how we interact with the cashier, how we interact with the barista, how we those are small interactions, but they can be so meaningful
for both parties
for
involved.
Everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
My husband teases me and says, "Oh, I'll wait for you, Kit, while you finish your conversation with your new best friend," knowing that I won't see him again.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I've lifted everybody up. It smiles, whatever.
Yeah. But it's, if I remember correctly, they ran a study, and the single most important element to continuing to be in good health was that human connection element. So
I've
loneliness
heard that.
is so detrimental to our health. I mean, I look at my mom lives in France. My sister lives not far from her. Her nieces are there. And when she first moved there, she had a really hard time because she had no one, right? And I'm here and I can connect with her, every day on WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever, but not physically being there.
Which sometimes is necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't squeezed my dad in 5 years.
Oh, I think it's time to go visit.
June.
Squeeze away. Yeah.
Plan. And we'll see mom and dad at the same time. So that'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm reading a book by Dr. Chatterjee, and he just was talking about the importance of community. He had a client come to him, and he noticed that the guy was really depressed and not feeling good. He says, I'm an introvert, and I like being alone and staying by myself. And the observation was that the patient had wrinkled, stained clothes and probably hadn't brushed his hair well. And Dr. Chatterjee said, I want you for the next week to, instead of reading your newspaper or reading social media and the news on your phone at home, I want you to go get a newspaper and sit and read it. And that evolved into this man forming his society. He became friends with another client or customer. And then when that guy disappeared one day, he was talking to somebody else and learned that he was just sick or out of town. And then he became friends with the barista, and on and on and on it went. And next time Chatterjee saw him, the guy looked great. He'd lost weight. His clothes were well kept.
That's awesome.
So there's a physical demonstration of what loneliness will do to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the worst thing that COVID did to us, is isolate us from each other. Yeah. I hope that if we get another pandemic, that we learn to physically distance while we're socially connected.
Yeah. And that's the key, right? Because it's that social connection that we still need. So
yeah, we absolutely do. Yeah.
So we talked about sleep, food, movement, loneliness. The one thing that I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about is stress.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Because that is such a poison. It's actually one of the reasons why I left my corporate gig was because I was burnt out, right? I wasn't eating as I should have been to support my body. I wasn't sleeping. And
you weren't taking breaks.
I wasn't taking breaks, wasn't peeing. And I wasn't releasing that stress
that energy
that accumulated every day.
Yeah.
Right. And there was stress at home as well, because we were dealing with a family situation here. So it was where home used to be the cocoon and work was the stress environment. Home also became stressful. So it was like jumping from the fireplace, from the fire pan into the fire, back to the fire pan, back to like days on end.
Right.
Right. And so being able to manage that stress is critical. And one of the things that I've learned to do, and I'm still not good at it, and I still feel like a complete failure every time I do it, is meditation.
Good. Right? Meditation is valuable. Rewires your brain.
Right. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily meditation. It could be just being present, right? When we do something, being in the moment and enjoying the time that we are, the experience that we're having.
Yeah. And meditation doesn't have to be a spiritual experience, which is what I think you meant by an meditation. When I teach people how to meditate, I tell them, put their attention at the top of their head, pretend you have a blowhole there, and then pay attention to the breath as it comes in and out. Just follow your breath. And that's very calming. And that dovetails with what I just learned last week about a specific breath you can take to help
Okay.
release stress. That is, it kind of comes out like a sigh, but you want to breathe in and out through your nose, which is, I think, the bottom line. So you take that slow, deep inhale and let it out. And that it's almost like it flushes away the stress. And it says to the body, everything's okay. You're not in danger. Relax. So the cortisol can drop and all that kind of stuff.
And one of the things, oh, go ahead.
So to stay with the breathing just for a second, the men and women have different responses to stress.
Okay.
So the Wim Hof breathing is great for men. It can be too much for women. It can actually add to their stress. So I wish there was a woman version of Wim Hof, but just to practice very intentional breathing. And I think that sigh you could do. And I teach, well, you know, at the release meditation. That is very calming for me. And I don't think that would add stress. I always feel calm. Just saying the word release meditation makes my body go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say, in terms of releasing stress, one of the things that, you know, and this is just something that I've heard in different podcasts, but when an animal is caught in a stressful situation, what happens when they get out of that situation is that they shake, right? They're like,
oh,
shaking. And that actually completes the stress cycle. And
it releases the tension.
Exactly. And that's something that we don't do. We don't necessarily, if we don't meditate, if we don't have a practice where we can, whenever we face or we go through some kind of a trauma, whether it's big T, little t, whichever, the point is you have to release that energy. Otherwise, that gets stored in the body. And that's where we get the aches and pain, the lower back, the hip, the this, the knee, the whatever. Right.
Which is why body work is so good for us, because that helps release it. But hey, let's not put it there. That's better. And get body work anyway, but just don't store it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, doing something like you were talking about dancing before, dancing, bouncing, just, you know, letting everything go.
Shimmy, shake.
Yeah. Anything just to close that cycle so the body doesn't hold on to that energy. I just thought that was very interesting and probably something that I'm going to try just because.
Yeah.
Why not?
So. Yeah. Well, let's go touch on the delicate topic of fragrance.
You want to go there?
It's only delicate. I do.
Okay.
Now, I'll explain to our audience the reason it's a delicate subject is that was Alex's career before she left it. So she doesn't see, and I'm an overstate. Maybe you tell, how do you see fragrance? Just real quickly. Is a problem, not a problem?
Unless you have specific allergies to specific classifications of ingredients, or you get some kind of an allergic reaction. I personally, and people have sensitivities to different things, right? It can be when you spray it on and you get a rash. It could be if you did your laundry and, all of a sudden you're itchy, could very well be an allergic reaction. But there are also benefits to fragrance in how it alters your mood, and how for some people just the simple act of burning a candle makes them feel good. It relaxes them. It changes the ambiance of a room. So for me personally, and I know, every fragrance that is developed goes through rigorous guidelines in terms of what is allowed to be in there and what is not allowed to be in there. And that varies depending on who, who the client is. You have some clients that want nothing but natural ingredients, and you have others who want nothing but cheapo, nothing more, nothing but chemical ingredients, right?
And it depends on what country you're in, because I think Europe has higher, more strict standards than the US does.
Yeah.
So,
and
anyway.
So the interesting thing is, people hear natural and they think, oh, well, it's got to be better for me because it's natural. Not the dichotomy, that's not really the right word, but the interesting thing is that the more natural a fragrance is, the more likely it is to have allergens, things that your body is going to react to, things that are going to make your skin not feel as good. Some ingredients are photosensitive, right? So you wear a fragrance, you go out in the sun, you could have a reaction. So it's so natural doesn't necessarily mean better for me.
True. That's true in food too. Saying it's a natural flavor is a great way of hiding the unnatural flavors, and it's not, at least in the States, well regulated. So natural aroma.
Kit, I would have to disagree. Having been in the industry, because that's where my career started, was actually on the flavor.
Well, that I'm telling you what I hear a variety of doctors and nutritionists say about natural flavors. You can put fake flavors in there.
Well, there is natural and there is nature identical, which is not the same thing. If you call something a natural flavor, then the guideline says it has to be natural. If you call something nature identical,
it doesn't.
It replicates the natural flavor, but can be made up of artificial ingredients.
Sure. Now, in support of what you're saying about natural aromas, there's a mustard that grows around here. Beautiful little purple flowers. And I know when it's in bloom because my sinuses vibrate.
Ooh,
it really bothers me. And rabbit brush and ragweed are supposed to be allergens. I'm not aware of them. And I don't sneeze or break out in hives or anything when the mustard's there, but I can't be near it because my body complains.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's a perfect example, right? I mean, it's belladonna is natural. Doesn't mean you want to take it.
Right.
Right.
So I'm chemically sensitive.
Okay.
And it took 3 experiences with 3 very different hotels for me to figure out, oh, it's their cleaning products.
Okay.
I was hired by clients in Houston to come down and teach them some stuff. And it was supposed to be a 3-day workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of my second day, my voice started getting scratchy. And at dinner, I opened my mouth to say something. Nothing came out.
Wow.
They said, let's not meet tomorrow. If it's going, or see how it is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out what affected me. So then another time I was at a conference and I got that same raspy voice and congestion and stuff, and allergy meds didn't help a bit. And I didn't know what to make of it. Then I was at a hotel that had a signature scent, and they had a beautiful basket of local juniper and cedar and things, which are known as high allergens, but I've never had trouble with them.
Right.
I was in that hotel room maybe 10 hours, 8 of it sleeping and 2 of it kind of coming and going. I didn't talk for 3 days after that room.
Yeah.
So I learned with hotels, especially that particular flagged hotel, always ask for an air purifier because they all were doing signature scents and they all affected me that way. So now this isn't all about my allergies. I haven't researched this. I've just listened to others who are talking about it, but I hear numerous people I trust say scents are not good for us. And I think for me, it's the petroleum-based scents that are an issue. If I try and sleep on bed linens that had fabric softener in the wash or the dryer, my sinuses will close down. I can't do it.
But that also because a lot of cleaning agents, fragrance excluded, are petroleum based. So it
Yes.
may also be partly that you're allergic to the petroleum based ingredients in a specific formula, which may not even have anything to do with the fragrance.
Might not, but there's such a one-to-one correlation.
Yeah.
I can't separate them yet.
Well, and you haven't
'cause
slept in sheets where you've only used a detergent without any fragrance to be able to make the comparison.
Well, I have. And I think hotels are doing less of the scented products now. And I'm not having the same allergy issues. So I don't know what it is, but I just know I don't like it. Or it doesn't like me. Take your pick.
Yeah.
So it's a good conversation so people can heighten their awareness of, and you and I were talking the other day that the people who put on way too much perfume, they're missing the point of perfume.
Yeah. But I think, like everything else, we all have to figure out for ourselves what works for us and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Clearly, fragrance doesn't work for you. I love fragrance. I especially in my laundry products, like you can never have enough scent in my sheets and my towels. Because it's a signal that things are clean as well, right? And I love getting into the sheets and it smells good and it feels good. But there have been times like there's one of my favorite fragrances. I love to smell it. I can't wear it because on me it smells putrid.
Oh, that's no fun.
Because it doesn't go well with my body chemistry.
Your chemistry. Yeah. One of Randy's former employees would put too much fabric softener in her laundry. And I couldn't be in her office after,
especially sensitive. Yeah,
I am. And this woman has breathing issues. And one day when she was going, oh, I'm just not breathing well, and she was extra aromatic, I said, well, maybe you should try doing less of the fabric softener. She goes, oh, but it smells so fresh. I said, well, let's go outside for a minute. Smell those pine trees. She goes, yeah. I go, that is what smells fresh. The nothing that's out here, because our trees aren't always very aromatic. I said, so that is fresh. What you have is stinky.
Stinky for you.
Well, and it turns out she liked it, but she later on experimented, and I believe she's dropped that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, again, there are different ways that you can wear fragrance too. You can bathe in it, or you can make it a personal experience.
Yes, which means very subtle. Yeah. I mean, I love perfume. My husband is scent sensitive, and he asked me to quit wearing perfume, and was really frustrated when I turned the tables and said, and you have to also. He would put just a spritz of aroma at his chest, which is right where my nose is when we hug. Yeah. Stop.
Yeah.
So I finally gave away or threw away all my perfumes.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Sometimes you have to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good conversation to have. And what we're saying about fragrance holds true with everything else we've talked about. I like to treat my body as my own personal lab. I hear that gluten is bad. All right, let me experiment with it.
Try it.
Okay. Yeah. Can I do it, or do I need to stay away from it? The same with perfume and movement. When I first learned about Move Frequently, I was taking a class through Eben Pagan. I don't know if he's around anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said every hour take a 10-minute break. And I objected, going, I'm right in the middle of things, and it'll break my train of thought. But I said, I'm taking the class, I will do it. So for a week, I took that break. And then I said, I'm going to see what happens if I take a 20-minute break every 2 hours. I wasn't as productive. I go, okay. That experiment works for me.
Yeah, I think it
And
for
other
me.
people,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was going to, some people have to take a break every 15 minutes, 20
Yeah.
minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, I think it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing different tasks, I'm okay to do 50 minutes and 10 minutes, right?
mhm.
But if I'm trying to do something creative, I probably need to go out to 75 to 80 minutes and then take a break. Otherwise, I feel like my flow is constantly being broken.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Now, can we train our flow to come back with our after our break? I don't know. There's another lab experiment for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right.
So
Well,
let's touch real quickly on ageism.
okay.
And let's see if what we can do here. When I say ageism, I'm talking about, God, you look really good for someone your age.
Oh, yeah.
You don't say that to little kids. Um, Ageism is what has us retire earlier, early, and maybe earlier and earlier, because you're not going to be of any value to us once you hit this magical age. And science is showing that we're actually our most creative and effective between 70 and 80, and our second most effective between 60 and 70.
Okay.
So if we're doing all these things we've talked about, we're keeping our mind vibrant. And we've got such a wealth of information and background and knowledge to bring into the experience we're having. Now, that doesn't mean don't retire. I'm kind of changing the subject there, but it means find something else to do. But when you start talking about yourself as an old fart or at my age, and I've had people say that, they go, how old are you? Well, I'm 55. I'm going, really? Your age? So I think we need to be careful about how we think and talk about ourselves and others so that we aren't discriminating. I mean, we would never say, well, for somebody of your color or gender, it's the same, it's just as bad. I mean, well, for a woman, you're pretty smart. Sexism.
Yeah.
For somebody your age, you're still pretty sharp. Ageism.
You know what? I think there's one time where I think it's okay to say at my age.
Tell me.
At my age, I don't care what people think. I think that's a good thing.
Is there another way of saying, now, does your brain think, oh, I got to shut down? Is it at your age, or, I've decided I'm mature enough, I don't care what anybody says?
Yeah.
Is it the maturity factor or the age factor?
I think with age comes maturity, but I think with age also come the experiences that we've had, and we realize that all that matters is what we think and doing right by us.
Yep. A friend's mother saw a picture of me. She says, oh, she's one of those women who wears her hair long at her age.
I'm like, who cares?
Well, I don't. I feel if I cut my hair, I would feel like a 50s housewife.
I know the first time I met you, your hair was short.
It was almost buzz cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my hair probably was also when you first met me. When we first met each other, I was shorter than a pixie.
Yeah. And my hair has come and gone. I remember going to my hairdresser one day saying, I want my hair to look like a lion's mane. Can you do that? And she cut it, and it just went and go, nope, guess you can't. I would have put so much product, too much product, and I'm going, no, I'm a no fuss girl. So all right. Anything else? We covered a lot.
No, we did cover a lot. No, I think we talked about all the things. I had everything here that I wanted to put on the table, and I think we got it all. And we started with the one thing that was not even on the list.
And we talked about a few other things. That's right.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Kit, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you? Anything that you want to leave us with?
All right. My website is liveinfocusedenergy.com.
Okay.
I have several things that I'm offering people to help them transform their fear of aging. One is a workshop called Energize Me. I do that the same day I do a workshop called Face It to Change It. And Face It to Change It was originally called Transform Fear into Action. And people say, oh, I don't have fear. All right, well, do you have uncertainty, stress, anxiety, worry? It's anything that keeps you from sleeping well or keeps you from doing things that you want to do or think you might want to do or should do, should by it'd be good for your career or whatever. I teach you how to face it and change it so you can transform it. And age is the same thing. And part of that is also having a purpose. So I also do YOS discoveries that tell you what your why, how, and what are, which then helps you figure out what your purpose in life is.
Okay.
That's all.
That's it. All right. And for me, people can find me on LinkedIn mostly. I do have a small presence on Instagram and Facebook, but really my core is LinkedIn at Alexandra Niel Coaching. And yeah, I mean, reach out, get in touch. I offer free jumpstart sessions if you're in that place where you feel kind of like a square peg in a round hole, or you've been stuck for a while and you're looking for different ways that you can maybe get yourself unstuck. I'm always happy to have the conversation. And Kit, I will send you the link so that you can fill that in.
Perfect.
With,
I'll put that in the everywhere we go. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So just to wrap it up, I'm Kit Cassingham, longevity coach at Live in Focused Energy. And I love working with people to help them create a smoother transition into their elderhood. And again, I transform the fear of aging. And my mission is to inspire people to take better care of themselves so the extra years they have are healthy and purposeful.
Nice. And I'm Alex Niel, certified high performance and mindset coach. And I work with women executives who feel unfulfilled despite their tremendous success. And I basically help you get your mojo back. So that's,
I like it.
That's what we do.
Yeah. All right. Our call next month is, hold on, I've got it right here, is about, we'll see. We were thinking of doing, are you having fun yet? Ooh. And I think having fun is a real important aspect of life.
Agreed. Let's do that.
Your scarf is fun, so
you've
already got a head start on it.
I'm early for Valentine's Day.
Ooh, another holiday to celebrate for as long as you can. All right. Well, we'll see everybody next month.
See you next month.